this year we've added a new category called trade war resilience, which, given the scale of the trade disruption we've seen this year, it looked at the exports and imports in each city and state, and how resilient cities will be to further disruption. So we've kept most of the methodology the same. So the new category for this year is trade war resilience, and we wanted to use a measure that was pretty general, given how wide-ranging the tariffs and trade disruptions have been. So we used imports as a share of GDP as one measure and exports share of GDP as another measure. And combined, they give a good indication of the impact tariffs will have on prices locally and how much retaliatory tariffs can hurt local economies. And so we had 7 weighting categories in total. And based on what we did last time around and with some small adjustments, we weighted workforce and talent the most heavily, and then going down the list with openness, investment trends, and trade war resilience the least heavily. And after computing all of these many indicators for all 91 cities and crunching the data, the winner came out as Tampa. Tampa scored well on a range of categories, including the new trade war resilience category, but also does well in the availability of a talented workforce, openness, business environment, foreign business needs, does very well on quality of life metrics and on investment trends too. Previous winners, like Miami, who won in 2022, also did well, came in the top 10, and Houston, which won last year, slid down the rankings somewhat, but still came in the top quarter or so. Tampa did well in both previous years, and so it's not a huge surprise that they did well this year, but they came top by a decent margin. So now if you disagree with our weightings and you think other metrics are more important, Alan can now go through the interactive component, which allows you to change the weightings based on what you think is the most important metric. So I'll hand over to Alan now.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Johnny, because I think this is actually really important, because if there's nothing worse than when you produce a ranking that people disagree with the categories that you've picked, maybe, or the weightings that you've applied to it. And that was something we've with the FT Nikkei Investing in America rankings, we've always been aware of this, that other businesses may have different priorities. They might want to readjust how important those different categories are to them. And you can do exactly that. So I'm sharing with you, freshly published today, is the full rankings. And so you can explore all of that data that Johnny showed you at the category level, which is what you're seeing on screen now with Tampa at the top. And I can hover over any city here and get the scores up for the city on the right-hand side here. So if you just want to explore the rankings, this is the page to do it. But it's better in the sense that if you disagree with our rankings, you can start to generate your own. So say, for example, quality of life is more important in your decision-making than the 14% we've allocated it. You can use this interactive page to drag that slider along and see what difference that reweighting does to the index. So in this case, we've got Raleigh, North Carolina coming out. And I'm sure the mayor will be very happy to see that Tampa is still there in number 2 slot. But you can see already that just by adjusting these weightings, that's changing our view of what's happening. And if I pick a different category, for example, like business environment, you start to see some geographical patterns coming out. So if I max out business environment, you'll see Ohio cities are coming out quite strong because of their scores in that business environment category. And just to finish off this demonstration of how interactive this page is, I'm going to switch to the map view. and reset it. So this is the 1 to 10. This is the top 10 from the official ranking. But this time I'm going to focus on that new trade war resilience category that Johnny introduced you to. And let's just say you want to ramp this up because you're more worried about sensitivity to trade war. So we're going to boost it from that 10% value and give that a nudge. And just to show you the geographical impact of this, as I bump up that trade war resilience, you can see that our winning cities now is now Washington, D.C., which seems very ironic, but it's actually very well protected from trade wars in the sense of imports and export reliance. And you can also see that other cities now joining the top 10 are those cities in the center of the US, which are much less exposed to import and export kind of worries associated with a trade war. So that's just a quick view of how that interactive works. I really would encourage you all to play with it. The URL ft.com/US Cities Index. It's a great little interactive tool. And with that, I'm going to hand over back to Brooke.
Thanks so much, Alan. I like playing with your little sliders. It's always one of my favorite parts of these rankings. We are now going to turn to Jane Castor, who is the mayor of Tampa. After attending the Tampa schools and the University of Tampa, Castor joined the city police department, and she served there for more than 30 years and rose to the rank of police chief. She ran for and won the office of mayor in 2019 in a contested race and won re-election unopposed in 2023. She is the city's first openly lesbian mayor, and she has made climate change and resiliency an important part of what she does. Please welcome Mayor Castor. We'll get her on board, I'm sure, any second now. There's probably a technical issue. Oops. Yeah, there is definitely a technical issue. Sorry about this, guys. Oh, I have a message that she has been called away briefly. She will be back in 5 minutes. Apologies to everyone, but she is coming. Actually, it says she's in now. She's coming momentarily. Apologies for this. Let's see. The technical glories of running a webinar where everybody's in 65 different places, all doing things, and the scheduling doesn't work out. And here is Mayor Castor. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. How are you?
We were running a little early. Mayor Castor.
Good. Better than late.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, we are very pleased to have you. I'm Brooke Masters. Mayor Castor, we wanted to talk to you about why you think your city does so well in these rankings, and what is it that's special about Tampa, and what do people know about Tampa if they're thinking, if you're a foreign company thinking about whether you want to invest in the U.S. and are considering Tampa?
All right. Is that the question? You want me to just start talking?
Yeah, why don't you start talking and then we'll
Okay. Well, I would say I was born and raised in Tampa. I'm 65 years old now, and the city that I grew up in was sort of a sleepy blue-collar city. And we have definitely grown and are continuing to successfully grow into a not only a nationally recognized, but globally recognized city. And there are a lot of elements that go into that. People have said in the past that we're one of the best kept secrets that they've seen. We were known as sort of having a port city. Our port is the largest in the state and supplied regionally. Now it has turned into an international port as well. But really what we have seen and what has made us attractive to the world is the fact that one, our tax base is relatively low. But when we see individuals that want to move their companies here, they want to ensure that they have economic viability here, but also tops on their list is they want to ensure that there is a great quality of life for their team members, that this is a place that people want to relocate their families, their lives, and not only grow a business, but grow, successful team as well. And that's what you have here in our city. We're very welcoming, friendly, safe. We're one of the safest cities our size in the United States. And we have continued to grow. We have an incredibly diverse portfolio. We are very, very strong, as I said, import-export through the port of Tampa Bay. We have, I would argue, the best airport in the world, easiest to get in and out of, stress-free. And we're continuing to add nonstop international flights. We're building an international airside as we speak out there. But we're incredibly strong in cybersecurity, in health services, finance. A lot of people are unaware that the majority of the country's financial transactions make their way through the Tampa Bay area each day. And so we are very strong on innovation, green businesses, you name it, and we really have a place in that particular market. And I can underscore that on the international stage by quickly going over a couple of economic development trips that I took recently. One was to Japan, and we met with the American Embassy there, but we also met with a number of companies in Japan that either had a presence in the Tampa Bay area or were interested in coming to the Tampa Bay area. And so that, and one of the things that was made clear at the American Embassy was that if you show up personally in Japan and have these face-to-face conversations, that is a bond that won't be broken. And so we have 37, just in the city of Tampa, 37 Japanese companies here. Then just a couple of weeks ago, made a trip with our economic development group called Global Tampa Bay, elected officials from Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County. And we met—
And those are the counties that make up the area, right?
Yeah, the cities of Tampa, Plant City, and Temple Terrace. And we met with probably 25 to 30 businesses there in London at the American Embassy. And they too either had a presence in the Tampa Bay region or they wanted to move here. And it was interesting because the diversity there. I mean, we went from large cybersecurity companies, public health, finance, to optical companies that made optics for everything from periscopes, binoculars, to missiles. We had a conversation with a woman who designed rugs from India. She lived in London. So really that diversity of people looking to, again, either expand or relocate into the Tampa Bay area. And I can also discuss some of the programs that we have implemented to make it more welcoming for businesses, both in the US and globally, to want to come to Tampa Bay.
Before you give us your full-on sales pitch, which does sound like it's very interesting, tell us a little bit, like, how did you guys end up a big financial and cybersecurity center? Because those are not things that I would naturally think of looking to Florida for.
Right. We have JP Morgan here, which a lot of financial transactions go through. And a lot of people don't know that Depository Trust has a headquarters here in Tampa as well. And so between those two and several others, there are a lot of financial transactions that make their way through the Tampa Bay area every day.
What do you do about providing an educated workforce? Because I would think for both finance and cybersecurity, those are not,
Right.
straight skills.
And that has been an area that we've been lacking in the past, is being able to provide that skilled workforce. But we have no issue with that now. A couple of reasons that we we enjoy that skilled workforce here. One is we have large universities, University of South Florida, Polytechnic, Polytechnic University, which is focused on technology and really putting out a number of skilled, trained engineers. And then University of Tampa as well, which is a large private university here. And 80% of the students that are from outside the Tampa Bay area that graduate stay here in the Tampa Bay area.
That's a testimony, at least for young
So
people.
that's a great, and I often joke that within a year, their entire family moves down here as well.
But mom and dad follow?
Yeah, because the weather, I mean, we get the privilege of living in paradise here. And then going through the pandemic, which clearly had a profound impact, negative impact on our entire world. But something that we saw from the pandemic when individuals were working remotely, and so understood that they didn't necessarily have to live in the city where they were employed, we just saw an incredible influx of young people into our region that were able to live here in Tampa and work remotely.
Are you finding that it's pulling back now that there's a lot more return to the office?
No, we aren't. We have seen a bit of a slow up in the number of people that are moving to the Tampa Bay area, but it's not stopping. People, businesses, I mean, everybody is wanting to move to the Tampa Bay area. I guess I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of individuals want to come here for the quality of life, for the cost of living, for the skilled workforce that we have here, and then just sort of the collaborative nature of the businesses in the Tampa Bay region.
What do you mean by the collaborative nature?
Well, everybody working together. One of the consistent, so I spent 31 years as a police officer here in Tampa, and all of the law enforcement agencies work collaboratively on the federal, state, and local level. And one would assume that that happens all over the nation, but unfortunately it doesn't. And you know, that collaboration holds true for our businesses as well. All of our chambers, we have a number of chambers just in the city of Tampa, and then in the region as well. Economic development, having them work together, all of our entrepreneurial and innovation spaces, everybody works together. I mean, there is competition here, but everybody understands that a win for you know, their professional group is a win for their individual company as well.
Are you doing anything to help the companies in your area respond to the changing tariff pictures? And how is that affecting your recruiting efforts?
Yes, it's not really affecting our recruiting efforts. And you know, it's been so volatile that it's difficult to say how impactful it's going to be. So, you know, it's on one day, off the next. Clearly, we'll have an impact through our port, and we'll have an impact on a lot of the foreign trade that we depend on here in our area. And we have been focusing, fortunately, for quite some time on the manufacturing sector here in our community. As a matter of fact, our EDC is working with the Chamber of Commerce and with our community revitalization area, the CRA in East Tampa, to build a manufacturing sector, and then also have University of South Florida incorporate a school of manufacturing within that particular business sector. So again, having that collaboration and focusing on the future, you know, not taking our eye off of any particular sector, because that diversity of our economic portfolio is what allowed us to sort of, you know, maneuver our way successfully through the pandemic.
And what do you see in terms of the biggest challenges towards Tampa continuing to thrive and grow in the current environment and the coming years?
Well, the current environment, if you're talking economically, I feel like we should continue to focus on that diversity and making sure that we're welcoming in new industries and building up the industries that have been successful in our community. And while we do recruit nationally and internationally businesses to either expand or move their headquarters here, we also understand that our local small businesses are the backbone of our economy. So the more that we can do to help businesses grow from the ground up here in Tampa and the Tampa Bay region, the more successful we will be. So that is one way that you can try to insulate yourself from uncertain economic atmosphere out there. So we are doing what we can. We have been focused on manufacturing here in our community for a while, but again, bringing those companies from far and wide while we're also focusing on growing from the ground up.
Are you doing anything to help sort of create networks of suppliers? Because often the biggest companies need smaller companies to supply them.
Yes, we do. I sit on the port board. I sit on the board at the airport. I sit on the expressway board as well. And so, and part of our economic development committee. So in Chamber of Commerce. So all of those, making sure that, that we are sort of being that connection between suppliers and that we are looking at making those connections so that we have what we need here in the Tampa Bay region. We are booming in construction. The development here in our city is just remarkable and no signs of slowing down, even with the tariffs and the increased cost in the building supplies. But we are still full steam ahead on continuing to grow here in Tampa.
What are you doing to make sure that your education and road infrastructure keeps up while also not messing up with what you described as a low tax environment?
Yeah, that really is a great question, because that's something that has been ignored for a long time, the infrastructure. And I would submit that a successful city is built on a strong infrastructure foundation. And one of the first things that we did, my administration, I was elected in 2019, was to pass a $3 billion wastewater pipe replacement project in motion. And that has been incredibly successful. We have infrastructure, water, wastewater pipes that haven't been replaced in 80 to 100 years. So that was costing us multiple millions of dollars a year to address water main breaks and wastewater cave-ins. Also focusing on stormwater. We got hit by Helene and Milton. We didn't take direct hits, but really knocked us to our knees for a moment. Helene was 100 miles offshore, and we saw 4 to 7 foot storm surge into our community. And we have 126 miles of waterfront just in the city of Tampa. And then 13 days later, Milton dropped more rain in a matter of a few hours than we have ever seen in an entire month in the history of Tampa. So we had a great deal of inland flooding from stormwater, trees down. So we got back up on our feet quickly, completed debris pickup a month ahead of schedule, but we still have homeowners and businesses that really got knocked to their knees. So we're still recovering from that, but really focused on the infrastructure too, resiliency, sustainability, looking at the things that we can do to reduce our carbon footprint, everything from solar on city structures to electric cars, a program to plant 30,000 trees by 2030 here in Tampa. We've mapped the heat deserts in our city, and we're addressing that, and also addressing ocean rise too.
Well, that's a pretty big agenda, but it's probably a good place to wrap up. Thank you so much, Mayor Castor, for your time. This was really helpful, and congratulations again on winning the rankings this year.
We appreciate it. We are beyond honored by receiving that recognition. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for joining.